I'm here at the shop, so as you see, I'm working on this diesel truck. This thing might have brought some of you here with the shorts. So I hope you guys have been enjoying the shorts and a little bit of what I've actually been doing. For those of you who don't know who I am and who tune in, I'm Mikel. This is Tazio Motors Racing, and thanks for joining us. I've said before, I've lost a lot of the files due to a bad file transfer. I'm trying to hard boot or jailbreak the hard drive that messed up anyway. Some of it might not be the greatest quality, but it's definitely going to showcase the progress that we've made on a lot of these projects. You know, I'm continuing with the E30 and all that stuff. The VR6 build is still in action. The Miata's coming up next, and also my own personal car. Enough of me talking. Let's get to it. All right, so welcome back. The issue that we ran into once we got the turbo in and everything, we had to obviously make a modification over there. The turbo and the valve cover are sticking out maybe half an inch or so over the line for the fenders. So from a previous project, Jose had these, which are a spacer. Spacer's gonna go in between here. So the lower subframe, half an inch. Gonna unbolt this right here and put that in there, and that should give us enough space.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Isn't that why you are here?
Make sure none of this shit is. Make sure they don't see none of this shit, Jose. Don't show them.
Yeah, because they got to see with bad boy.
They're gonna be like, what you talking about?
Hey, what kind of work you do, guys? I think we're.
It's all right, but you gotta put the camera on me though, Jose. I mean, you know. Yeah. Here we already got the pump in, which is the 450 pump, wall barrel 450. Already got the level sensor in. Already got the fittings on. Run it over here to the chassis in the car underneath, and then get the dash 8 lines ran to it, and then we'll run the lines from the filter, and then the return line we got to run all the way up to the front. Jump in and do this, and then get this thing finished. Got that little piece off, as you saw. So with this bracket, I don't know if they gave it just as like a way to secure, you know, these clips together, these clamps together, these little plastic things, but they're really not gonna work. They're not gonna work for what I need. With the amount of vibrations and stuff that's gonna be going on with this car, these little plastic things are gonna break off eventually. Then the whole pump is probably gonna end up hanging down. And obviously, if the filter is hanging down, then it could get damaged and leak fuel. And obviously, you know, that's not a good thing. So what I'm gonna end up doing is tapping, probably this one might already be the size. I'm gonna check it. I'm gonna tap these for a riv nut and then open up these holes right here. So these are pretty small holes, so hopefully I can open them up large enough to get a M6 bolt through it. As you see, I got everything bolted up for the fuel filter. I have the hoses ran, kind of like a rough setup to see where they'll go. You see that fitting on the left, it's a -8, and that elbow basically comes in contact with the filter itself right here. So even if I put a line on it, I'm not gonna really have that much room for it to pass here cleanly. But what I ended up doing was putting a elbow with a 180 for a -10. I think either I'm gonna have to flip the filter, because I actually have no idea which way the filter screen on the inside is facing. There is a right, there is a wrong way, or leave the filter where it is and then just flip the fittings on the end 180. That way I could put on the -10 180 degree fitting on there. And then I'll run the fuel line, the main feed, which is here. So I'd run it all the way up to this side, basically here, have the -8 fitting, fuel flows through here, gets the -10, goes to the -10 fitting, runs all the way up to the fuel rail. So first things first, I'm gonna pull this filter off, see which way the screen is, where the internal filter is actually facing, and I'll make my decision from there. I've decided to just flip the filter. You can't really see inside it, but there's an open side to the filter, and obviously kind of like a closed side to let the fuel flow out. Because I didn't end up having to flip the fittings, I just flipped it around. I ended up putting on the -10 fitting, so it's gonna sit like this with the -10 fitting here, and obviously it's gonna be able to tuck up here in the corner. I still have to cut the line to put on this 90 degree elbow. So this is gonna end up going here, something like that. So I'm gonna end up pulling the tank down, obviously put the fitting on, clean it out, make sure there's no debris in there from it, us cutting it, and then end up putting the tank back up. The only thing that sucks, I don't even know if it's in camera, but no, it's not. I end up putting the drive shaft up, just so I can see how everything's sitting. I end up popping this guy out, then end up dropping the tank back down and cutting the line, and that's it. The lines to the fuel filter connected, so the 8 is over there coming off the pump, going through the filter here, and then coming back around to this is to the -10 like I was saying, and then it runs up front to the fuel rail. So what I'm gonna do is end up having to zip tie the lines to those OEM clips, and then run it up the same way that it was originally set up. The wiring is on the top side, which I'll have to run the relays. Like I said, this thing's gonna be capable of 600 plus horsepower for what the build is right now. At least even the fuel system's well past 600, but because there's no E85 out here, might be limited to about 450, 500, something like that. That's a 450 pump, going up to a -10 fuel lines with some 2200 cc injectors. So this thing is more than capable to get to the power that it needs once it has the proper fuel. Put those clips back on, zip tie the lines to the OEM clips, try to run it as neatly and nicely as possible. And then I'll go up top, make the ends for the fuel line and for the fuel pressure regulator and the return line. wouldn't say the final product, but basically the fuel line is gonna run along here and end up going to the front the same way. Now I'm gonna drop the car down and go up to the fuel rail part and also the fuel pressure regulator and get those things situated and knocked out. All right, so this is the finished product for the fuel line. As you see, I ran from the fuel rail down and under, and I came up to the fuel pressure regulator. Before, as you saw, it was facing the opposite way on a bracket, but that bracket was kind of wobbly and it took up a lot of space. So to help clean it up, I essentially just ground down the bracket. I cut it off, ground it down, and made this other bracket for the fuel pressure regulator. So now it sits here. It's a lot more stable, and it cleaned up this whole area right here. Also see the pump here. Hey, good morning, man. Irie. So as you see here, this is the relay with the fuse or circuit breaker. Everything cleaned up, sealed away, and then the wire runs behind the chassis or behind this seal and runs up and behind the seat and over by the fuel pump. All right, so this is where I'm leaving off with the car. As you know, it is actually running, as you've seen in the video. Thank you guys for watching. If you want to see any more full in detail of the E30 build, check out the YouTube channel, Tazio Motors Racing. So I appreciate you guys for watching. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.